Hello, my Virgo friends. This is Kristen Redman, astrological intuitive, and today we are going to be talking about what 2022 has in store for you out there in the skies, right? What a year it's going to be. I tell you what, this is going to be a year that's really focused on partnerships of all kinds, both personal and professional, because you have Jupiter coming through your sign, which hasn't been there since 2010 time frame ish. It's been a minute, right? And Jupiter brings luck and opportunity and expansion and growth and all of these wonderful things that I know you've been looking for quite some time. So definitely that is on the peripheral, and long-term goals in terms of health and work are going to be the forefront as well too. So let's just start out. We'll kind of dial it back and we'll start with money. Okay, let's just start with money, right? So what's going to be happening this year is Jupiter, that planet that's going to be going through and making some amazing connections and lucky breaks in terms of relationships for you this year. It's going to be moving in between May 11th and October 28th. It's going to move into the sign of Aries for a bit, where it hasn't been since, oh God, now I got to use my head again now. All right, math, all right. So that would be 12 years. 2010 was the last time, 2011 was the last time that it was there. And when Jupiter goes through this financial sector for you, what's happening is it's bringing luck and growth and opportunity to your house of shared finances. So lots of politics, lots of positive developments can be happening for you this year, in terms of, okay, like let's say you're trying to settle out a divorce settlement. That's the first thing that came to mind. So obviously this it clearly impacts somebody out there. You've been working on coming to a divorce settlement. Jupiter coming through is going to make sure that you actually get a really lucky break in that situation, that things work out positively for you financially. Jupiter going through that 8th house is also bringing opportunities to whittle down any debt, right? Because 8th house is the finances that we share with others. So if you are in debt, Jupiter coming through, well, one or two ways, right? Astrology's got a black and a white, but black and white side. On one side, it can bring lots of opportunities through to whittle that debt down, but on its positive side too, it could also give you more credit, which could make you take on more debt. So just be extra aware of those things. With you being a Virgo, I know you're extra smart when it comes to financial matters and breaking things down and the like. So clearly it's not going to be a dramatic issue, as long as you don't make it a dramatic issue, right? But anyway, that's one of the things that's going to be happening is Jupiter goes through Aries for you. Now let's move on to home, because I'm really focused on relationships of all kinds. So let's just get right into it. We'll start with home. So Mars is going to be moving through your home sector, home and family, where it hasn't been for a couple of years. When I see that happen, Mars is a planet of movement and action. So that could very well be the case for you, that this is a year where you find yourself moving home. Or it could be that, see, what happens with Mars is that it clears out all this old stagnated energy, and especially if you're one of the Virgos that I was talking about with the divorce situation, maybe this is the way for it to clear out the old stagnated energy from the relationship of the past in the home, so you can make room for somebody new that is coming in. Another thing too with Mars, on its shadow side, it can create arguments, it can create conflict. And so that could very well be the case, that you may find that this is a year where some issues surface with the family. Just keep an eye out for that. These things that come up to be healed, right? Because this is a year where Jupiter is moving through Pisces. Saturn is kind of restructuring what used to be our foundations in lots of ways that are more fitting for who we are now. So if these issues do surface with family, keep in mind that it's to strengthen where the cracks in the foundation are. All right, so pay attention to what's happening, listen, communicate your needs, and you'll find that things actually work quite positively. Now, in terms of romantic relationships, we have Jupiter moving into your house, like I started this out when I was telling you, where it hasn't been for 12 years. All right. Now, when Jupiter goes through, the last time it was here was that 2008, 2009 time frame. When it goes through this house of partnerships, I tell you what, if you haven't found somebody, Jupiter, that lucky planet, will give you a break to bring someone through. Any outstanding relationships are going to be given a blessing of expansion and growth, kind of moving you out of any stagnated zones that you have found that relationship has landed into. This is a great time to manifest what it is you do want your seventh house of relationship to look like. Now, bear in mind, this doesn't just limit you to romantic relationships. This can also be business partnerships as well too. Manifest it. What do you want that to look like for the next 12 years, right? You want to bring in a little bit of romance. You want to bring in a little bit of security. You want whatever. You imagine what it is that you want, and Jupiter is going to respond in time, because this is what happens. This is a year where it says dreams can come a reality. All you have to do is dial it back and look at what kind of situation you may have found yourself in way back, in that 2008 time frame. What type of people came into your life, what type of energy was happening then. It can happen again. You just have to visualize what it is you want. Did it go crappy then? This is a time that's saying your thoughts create your reality. Don't create the crap again, for lack of a better term. Okay, that's fantastic, right? This is something that we are very grateful for. Now, another part of relationships too is that we have children in the 5th house, and Capricorn technically rules that house for you. Now, this year, we're starting out 2022 with Venus being retrograde. Now, Venus is the planet of values and what we hold of value and self-worth and love. And so it's retrograded in Capricorn, which is the sign of like rules and structure and order. And it likes a long-term plan. It likes things laid out. So the way I'm looking at it is kind of like, what do you call that? Like a cost analysis thing, business wise. I don't know, my brain's not working right now, but it's kind of like the universe is showing you like a cost and like, I can't think of the other word right now, like bad analysis, like the good and the bad analysis, right? And because Capricorn's real cut and dry, man, it is. And so when Venus lands there and it retrogrades, it's having us look to the past, retro, of how we've dealt with things in terms of our heart and how we make our money, right? Very logically. It's like, is this working for you? No. Cut it out. You know what I mean? But where this is happening is in your house of children, right? So the way that I'm looking at that is that a lot of different ways, right? I think the first thing that comes to mind is outdated value systems that were passed down from generations and family that you're finding you just don't like, that you're like, we're a family and we don't go sledding. I don't know why I'm thinking that. That's a terrible example. Because I'm looking at snow right now. Let's say it's something where it's like, our family does not get rich. Our family doesn't have money, and we don't go around wearing all these nice things because that's not what we do, and we don't say, who came up with that stupid idea, right? You're sitting there all of a sudden, you're like, well, crap, I worked hard. My kids deserve to wear good things if they want to, and they're good kids. You know what? We're not going to have that limiting belief because that keeps us stuck. That keeps us from wanting more. That keeps us from, you know what I mean? It's like your brain starts to understand that where these outdated beliefs that were handed down from one generation to the next don't work anymore. Maybe it's a belief of, here's a better one. Here's a great one. I don't hug my kids. We don't show affection. Okay? That was great grandpa to grandpa to dad, and then he handed it to you. And you're just like, here you are, and you're like, well, I'm not going to hug my son. And you're like, what in the absolute hell? That makes no sense. I don't give this child reinforcement, and it's going to perpetuate this lack of intimacy that gets perpetuated onwards to the next generation. You know what I mean? That's the thing I'm talking about, these weird beliefs and values. You're looking at it, and you're like, this it ain't adding up, and I'm not going to do it anymore. Especially with kids, right? That's where it's going to make a huge impact. But you know what? It's more than that. The fifth house is more than just children. It's about happiness in general. You're finding that these beliefs that you're telling yourself are literally keeping you stuck from being happy and prospering. For what? To prove it to who? Great grandpa's long gone. And I tell you what, great grandpa's looking down right now and he's like, change that old belief. Be the one to change it, right? Where we're going next, though, is in the house of career, because I tell you what, it's been an interesting, I can imagine an interesting year. You are the sign of work, right? You're the first one in, you're the last to leave. You represent being of service to mankind. So people depend on you a lot. And so what happened starting at Christmas time of 2020 is that Saturn, which takes 30 years to make its revolution around the sun, where we take 365 days to make our year, 30 of our years are equivalent to 1 year of Saturn. Right? So when it moves into a new sign, or it moves into a house in our chart, it makes a really big difference. And Saturn is the planet of lessons, hard work, responsibility, the foundations that are under our feet, all of those things, right? But it's very restrictive. Saturn makes us work really, really hard, and we work hard and we learn a lot through the lessons that we go through, and that's what Saturn represents. Now, Saturn has moved into Aquarius, which technically rules your house of career. That's why I'm talking about it right now, but let's dial it back another second here. Saturn is very, I like a plan, right? And it's in Aquarius, which doesn't like a plan. It likes things to be changed up because it sees where the old plans of 30 years don't work anymore. So as Saturn has been going through, it's trying to have us reinvent the structures that are under our feet that are more fitting for who we are now. And it's super duper uncomfortable. Oh my God. And where it's happening is in your house of career, right? So what I am looking at this is in a couple different ways. I could see some Virgos retiring, especially the hardworking ones that have earned it at this point. And that can be totally unexpected, right? Maybe it gets unexpectedly put on you that there's a buyout of some kind this year. But what I like about it, right, is that this way Saturn is trying to bring you something new, right? It's trying to bring you something that's more fitting to you. Maybe you got some kind of side hustle that you've been doing for years and you want to make that your main hustle priority, your main job. Saturn going through is going to give it the legs and the strength that it needs to make it happen, because ultimately Aquarius is about being the true authentic you. It rules that career house. You're meant to be self-employed, man. If that's something you're trying to do, it's in the cards. And with Saturn going through, it's going to make sure that there's some stable opportunities that pop up for you. Or here's the other thing. Saturn going through your 10th house is, it happens 2.5 years, every 30 years. This could be doing something where it's bringing in a job that has permanence, that's something that you can stay at for the next 30 years. Something not only that you can stay at, but it's more fitting for who you are now because it carries that Aquarian flavor to it, right? So that's a really amazing thing that you have there. So where the eclipses are going to be happening for you this year are going to be in the 3rd house and in the 9th house. And that deals with communication is what it does. It's the lower mind, so the conscious mind. Lower mind sounds like crap. Conscious mind and our communication with others. And then over here is our higher mind and how our higher self talks to us. Lots of other things that go into this category too. But eclipses bring new beginnings and they work in 10-year intervals. And where this is happening for you is huge. New energy is trying to come through with the more that you learn about yourself. That's the 9th house. So maybe this is going to be a year where you travel more. I mean, I know that's kind of a given because like restrictions are getting lifted in lots of ways. So people are obviously going to be traveling. But this malarkey would have happened regardless of a pandemic or not. You're going to be traveling. The more that you explore, the more that you learn. It could be explorations of different countries or places, or it could just be exploration of the mind. Maybe you decide you want to go back to school, take some seminars, get a new certification. I don't know what it is, but I tell you what, this eclipse is going to push it through. And so these eclipses happen. Let me give you the dates. April 30th, May 16th, October 25th, and the last one is November 8th. And these guys are going to be pushing you to do some new things. Try new things. Go outside of your comfort zone is what it's going to be having you do. And then over here on the other side, in the house of communication, it's going to be bringing through these new things that you explore. They're going to have you looking at things in a new way. And then when you look at things in a new way, you communicate in a new way. I think that you're learning the positives, right? With these eclipses that are happening, they may bring to the surface where you've held your tongue when you should have talked, right? And how it does everybody a disservice. So this could definitely be a year where communication comes to the forefront in a lot of different ways that maybe you weren't expecting, right? So let's do this. I mean, what a great year. Holy smokes, what a great year in so many ways. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to break it down by birthdays. Different things that are going to be happening just for specific birthday time frames. This is very generic for all Virgos. If you want to dig in a little bit deeper with what this year has in store for you and specifically for your chart, there's a link below. Click that. You can set up a reading with me. We can do it by phone, FaceTime, Skype, whatever, Zoom, you name it. But in general, if your birthday falls between August 23rd and September 23rd, so anybody who's a Virgo watching right now, Jupiter is going to be opposing your sun. Jupiter is that planet that's doing a number in your relationship house. Remember, we were talking about that, connecting you with people. You are going to be stretching yourself into all sorts of uncomfortable areas this year. I tell you what, trying new things in relationship, trying new things for yourself. A little effort can go a long way to achieve big things for you. But the caveat is that you have to have faith that it can happen for you and that you deserve it. That's the big thing, okay? You can, if you believe that you have that, that you deserve it. If your birthday falls between September 2nd and September 10th, Uranus is going to be making an amazing connection to your sun sign. And so this new outlook that we were talking about that you have is going to help you to find independence and autonomy in what you need to do, but also authenticity is the word I'm getting as well too. It was an auto thing. I think you're going to be getting new understanding of who you are, and that gives you greater clarity on how you can go into the world and be in these relationships that are strengthening in a more authentic way, right? Instead of doing for everybody, because that's what happens with Virgo. You do, and then it becomes that's who you are. Well, that's not necessarily authentic to who you are. That's just like a version of yourself. It's time for you to get some things back. And so this is a way that this is a year where that can happen, with Uranus kind of breaking that mold. And a big thing that they want you, I have it written here, embrace the unexpected, because the unexpected is going to happen this year. I don't know if it's good or bad. It's unexpected. That's what Uranus does. It shakes us out of these things in different events that happen, both good and bad. But no matter what, if they're good or bad, ultimately the outcome is going to be the absolute highest and best for you. So the more that you can embrace it and roll with it and go with the flow, the better. All right. So lastly, September 12th through the 17th, Neptune's going to be squaring your sun. So it's going to be one of those years where the fog of confusion rolls in, because that's what Neptune can do on the shadow side like that. A little bit of a confusing time. But I tell you what, why it's being confusing like this is that it's calling on you to trust that amazing intuition that you have inside of you. Not the logical Virgo earth sign that you are. Not what's happening practically in front of you. This is calling you to connect with your spiritual self, to connect with that understanding of what God is to you, and really trust in the process. I gotta blow my nose right quick. I'm so sorry. The more that you can do that, I'm telling you what, the better and the more blessings can come through, because you're surrendering that to the divine to take care of for you, instead of you coming up with your Virgo 20-step plan. Easier said than done, right? But I'm telling you, the relief that will come from that, and the you're going to be amazed at how your stomach troubles are going to let up too, as a result of you releasing that to the divine to take care of, right? It's almost like in the stars, because you know what it is in the stars. So one of the things to keep in mind, that if you have difficulty, right, call on your archangel Metatron. He is and I know that sounds like a transformer, but it's not. It's an archangel that helps us with our energetic systems. If you find that it's hard to connect with your intuitive self, if you find that it's hard to do anything right now, call on Archangel Metatron, and for him to clear and cleanse your chakra systems or your energetic systems, the meridians that are in you. I mean, these are proven things in science, man. It's there now. It's not just woo-woo stuff anymore. This is real and it's tangible. These things can be cleared, and you call on this archangel and he can make it happen. He's also the archangel of gifted children. So if you are having difficulties with your children, call on him to cleanse and clear that energy and make way. So call on him for a multitude of wonderful things. But one of the things to keep in mind too is that we have windows of opportunity to manifest better and to release things better. Manifesting happens at a new moon. Full moon is when we release things that are outdated. And I tell you what, at a full moon, things are so high that you can't even ignore it, and you almost have to release these things. So for you, the moons that are going to be the most important are going to be the Virgo full moon at March 18th. That's going to be a time frame when the universe is going to let you know what type of outdated beliefs or what have you need to be released. And then the new moon for you is going to be happening August 27th this year. That's where you're going to plant your seeds for manifestation for what you want to happen in the coming year. You're going to be getting so many amazing things that are coming through, especially if you want to plant some seeds for change in terms of the finances. The preview is going to come in May until October, and then the major change is going to happen for you in 2023. Plant those seeds now for how you want to get that debt down, or how you want to make that happen, or just even the wish to put it out there in the universe that you want it to happen, right? So my Virgo friends, I thank you so much for watching. Get out of your head and get into your heart and into your spirit more this year, and you will be amazed at what comes as a result. Thank you for watching. Bye.